Yo, what's going on, everybody? Time for another live stream. It's 3 p.m. here in New Vienna, Iowa, Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. It's 9/9/20. I like it when the days have some sort of numerical pattern. That makes me happy for some reason. It is a dreary day here in New Vienna. Today's run was it was a great run. I actually felt really good. Went for 7 miles and change. Felt fantastic. I didn't do any of my glute activations beforehand. I don't think I did any glute exercises last night, but I did some in the morning yesterday. I think just generally being more mindful of it during the run. Maybe it's helping. Maybe it's just that I'm that much further out from having run in the Sauconys. I don't know, but whenever things kind of go well, I'm not the type to kind of try and dissect it and then pull it back and figure out where is that point where things are good or not good. So, I'm going to just kind of keep doing the glute exercises because I do feel like those are weak muscles. And these are easy things that a person should be able to do that I can't do. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to work on this, see how this makes me feel. So overall, just being a more resilient, durable runner is a goal, and I think that having balanced leg muscles is going to be a big part of that. So give me 1 second. I'm going to put my headphones on. I didn't put them on before we got started today. And I just want to make sure that the audio stays good. So right, JC says sitting at a desk chair at work, activated. Well, I mean, my glutes actually are activated right now because I was just doing my hip thrust. Glute bridges, I forget which one. One is if you're elevated on and leaning against something, and one is if you're on the floor. I do the one on the floor. So I still need to do 2 more sets of those, I think, for my daily dosage. And then I didn't do my regular leg strength routine today either because it was pouring rain by the time I got home today. But I'm feeling good. Overall, feeling really good. It's a sleepy day, though, I gotta tell you. I'm on coffee. I need it. I'm dragging a little bit. Day 2 of homeschooling. It's going pretty well. I mean, it's going much better than I thought it would. So I gotta say that. So I can't really complain too much. Let's see who else is here. We've got Not Really Hank Aaron, Michael Sessler, Chan Zhao. Awesome. Not Really Hank Aaron says, has Kofuzi ever been early? I've been early many times, but I usually just wait. Because I want to make it it's something that starts at 3, and I don't want people to be oh, but you got to get there early because sometimes it's early. So I always try to be start it no earlier than 3, because I don't want people to feel like they missed out even though they came at the prescribed time. So sometimes I do I usually set my schedule is to get here, sit in this chair by 2:50, and then get everything set up and then ready to go, and then then I'll hit the button right when I'm at a little bit after 2:59, because sometimes it takes some time to kind of spool up or whatever. I don't know. So then I'm usually here right around 3 o'clock. That's what I'm going for. Let's see. Martha says the witching hour is upon us in terms of which way is this conversation going to go today. I'm not sure. Today, one of the things that we did was for lunch. The baby has been watching all these YouTube videos. She has an attention span of a 4-year-old, so she loves YouTube. And a lot of the YouTube videos that she's been watching on kids YouTube has been families making they put the pancake batter and they put food coloring in it and they put it in the squeeze bottle and they make the designs. She's been watching stuff like that. So we've been making rainbow pancake or rainbow waffles. I don't have the time to put them in the squeeze bottles and draw stuff. But we'll mix a couple different colors. We'll split a batch of batter into a couple of different colors and mix them kind of in the waffle iron. Today we did it with pizza. So I made purple pizza dough and then I dyed the shredded cheese different colors with food coloring, and we did that today. And so I figured, well, that'd be good morning activity because then we'll bake or we'll make dough together, and then we'll make lunch for when my daughter's done or has her lunch break from school, and then we could have that. And I thought it turned out pretty cool. I posted a picture of it on Twitter, and then as soon as I took the picture, I was like, it looks kind of gross. It looks better in real life than it does on a photograph from my phone. But I was like, we made purple pizza dough rainbow cheese pizza, and for the girls, I cut theirs roughly into shape of butterflies. And I was like, oh, this is day 2 of homeschool. I got a whole year of this. Well, hopefully not a year, but in theory, I have like a whole year of this coming up. I got to slow it down a little bit. I came out of the gate too hot, which is something I guess I just do in all aspects of life. But that's what we've been doing today. And since then, since lunchtime, I've just been exhausted. Chris McLean says, yo, everyone who's been working on some glute activation today. I've done some. I didn't do as much as I wanted to today, but I did some. So I'm in there. I can kind of give a thumbs up to that. Let's see. Stevie76 says, yo, what's going on? Louis Becerra's here. Jeff Elliott says, I'm on time. He's 3:01. Yes, you're on time. I'll consider that on time. My mom's here. Says hello from New Jersey. Oh, I did talk to my mom yesterday on the phone. And she did give me her bagel source. And she said she's very picky. She hasn't found a bagel shop in Fort Lee that she likes. They used to live in Tenafly. She has a bagel shop she likes in Tenafly. But she says now, these days, she still goes up to, she says upstate New York. I just think it's over the New York-New Jersey border. People that are from the area know there's New York City, and then the rest of the state, no matter how not far upstate it is, everything outside of New York City, all the rest of it is upstate New York. So she says she goes up to upstate New York, just over the border, to get her bagels because she has a place that she likes there. And she buys them by the dozen and brings them home and freezes them. So I don't have information on a Fort Lee bagel source. But here's the thing: one of my daughter's friends, the dad, he's not from there. He grew up more in upstate New York, but his family is from Fort Lee. Back when it was Italians that were in Fort Lee and not Koreans. And so, like, his grandfather or something like that, or maybe great-grandfather used to be, like, the mayor of Fort Lee or somehow involved in the town leadership. So I could check in with him and see if he still knows a place. Or not, maybe he does or maybe he doesn't. I'm not sure. But I'll get you guys something in Fort Lee. Rainrunner says, air quality is poor in Portland, so no run for her today, or him today. Yeah, I've been seeing all sorts of pictures from the Portland and Pacific Northwest area where the colors of the sky are just freaky, just super, super weird. It's been amazing. And combine that with Stevie76 says, zombie alert with the AstraZeneca pausing its trials due to a single event of an unexplained illness that occurs in the UK's phase 3 trial for the coronavirus vaccine. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing though. The zombie part doesn't happen with the coronavirus vaccine. The zombie part happens when the coronavirus vaccine gets into everybody, and then they turn on 5G. So that's the zombie alert. We don't have to be worried until 5G's all there. So I think we're okay. But we were talking about this at dinner yesterday, and I was telling my in-laws, I was like, sometimes that happens in some of these medical trials where seemingly normal, healthy, people, someone that could sign up and just be like, I'm an average person, sign me up for this average person test. Can have a really weird reaction to something, and it might not even be something that's a reaction to the medicine. It might just be something that happens to them because they're out of their routine or whatever, and sometimes medical conditions get diagnosed during testing having nothing to do with the medicine being tested. I know this because, I know it on a couple of reasons, but I've experienced it myself, not directly, indirectly. After college, I used to, as a way to make money, subject myself to medical testing. In a lot of ways, I thought of it as karmic kind of realignment, but also as a way to make cash. And so what you would do is this is back before Hatch-Waxman, when to make a generic, your generic still had to pass FDA approval in stage 3 testing. And so I would subject myself for money to trying generic drugs. Malaria medication was the malaria medication. That was the one test that I did that paid the most money. It was a big test. You stayed there for a weekend, and they took your blood every 2 hours. Around the clock, they would wake you up. And then you had to show up every 2 weeks. And they were just trying to see if it had any adverse side effects, and then also how quickly it dissolved out of left your system. They didn't give me malaria. It was just testing to see if there were any different side effects than the original drug. And so in that 48 hours that we were there was a dude that had like night terrors, and he just woke up in the middle of the night and started running. All these guys were sleeping in barracks. It's like one giant room with 40 beds. And he just started running down the hallway back and forth, screaming at the top of his lungs. Someone, I think, tackled him, or he ran into a wall, one or the other. And then like the next day we didn't see him. And we're like, what happened to that dude? What happened to Gary? And people were like, yeah, he just has night terrors. He didn't know that. But apparently it's something that he has. So like he's not eligible to be in the study anymore. So I was like, oh, just like that, he's gone? Okay. All right. So yeah, but I don't think it had anything to do with the malaria medication, or so they told us. But sometimes weird things like that can happen. Because I mean, humans are weird animals. So like, you know, weird things show up sometimes. So, yeah. Weird. Yeah, Martha, I bet you didn't see that one coming. Oh. Yeah, so that's where the conversation went today. Chris Dyke says, I tried an extended foam rolling session in light of these activation combos lately. My one butt cheek is still sore. Is that a good thing? Does that mean that like you just went after it too hard, or like one like it happened to be pretty locked up? I'm finding that like a lot of my muscles are pretty locked up, and like it makes me really wish I had what the baby calls my butt stick, because I really wish I had my foam roller. So yeah. Lainey A still needs to activate glutes today. Jennifer Herring is coming in from Quakey, New Jersey. Awesome. JC is sitting at a desk chair at work. That's how they get deactivated. You know. So I was someone sent me a video. Average Running PT sent me a video. He made a video after seeing my complaints about activation, and he was like, they stay activated until you kind of deactivate them, or after a certain amount of time. So he's like, as long as you don't sit down for like 10-15 minutes, your activations will keep, as a layman's terms of saying it. So that makes a little bit more sense to me. But I've been still watching more activation videos, trying to get a better sense of it. And the more I watch it, the more I like firing, like when muscles are firing in the correct sequence, like that makes a little bit more sense. But like muscle compensation and muscle balance, like those things kind of make sense to me. Chris Hank says, I think when being sore, he thinks he spent too much time in the one area. That can happen. That is a legitimate concern that I have with foam rolling and like Theraguns and like the hype rice machines, you know, is that like I'll go after something too hard, and then the next day I'll be like, oh, I actually hurt myself. I'm worried. Timothy Pettit says he ran 1 mile in cloudy/wind weather. Yeah, it's that time of year where the seasons are like, it's a little bit angry out for sure. I started running, so I was up early in the morning making my video for today, and I'm looking out the window that's right here, and I can hear, because there's tin roof. I think it's steel, but I like calling it tin. But it's a steel roof, so you can hear when it's raining, and I didn't hear it raining. And then I go out to walk the dog, and it starts kind of drizzling. I'm like, I think it'll be all right. And I was wrong for the first mile. It just stayed kind of drizzling and wet. And then for the next 5 miles, it was dry, just cold and windy and dreary, but not raining. So great, actually. And then the last like 1.5 miles, it started pouring rain, and it was pretty miserable. And I was very glad to be done. Yeah. Daniel M. says, I wrote a paper in law school critical of the current state of the pharmaceutical industry. Naturally, I named it Pharmageddon. Nicely done. Mark Chankoko says, greetings from rainy Orlando. What was I seeing? I thought I saw something about, is Disney World changing its hours? Does anybody know that? Is anyone up to date on that? I thought they were reducing its hours. I'm trying to figure out what was that all about. I didn't get a chance to read the article. It was one of those things. Just like when I see the comments that are on this side of the screen here, like as soon as I will start reading one, like mine jump to like all the way at the bottom of the list. And so that gets frustrating. The same thing happens to me on Instagram. Like when you open Instagram, like it kind of like remembers where you were, and then it realizes, oh wait, I can give this person new content and also some ads. And then it jumps. So it was like one of those things where I saw someone posting about Orlando's changing out, like Disney World's changing hours, and then it jumped. So I didn't know what happened with that. Yeah, Jennifer Herring says, yes, they are closing at 6 p.m. That's very early. It's really early. Crazy. Ilya Kim says, how to deal with the stained upper of the Peg 37? Have you tried washing it? You can run it through the washing machine. Just don't put it in the dryer. Take the laces out. If you want, you could put the two in like a bag, a pillowcase, or a mesh bag. We have tons of mesh bags that we throw through the laundry now because my wife uses them to wash our masks. So rather than have the masks and all the elastic kind of like free and floating around in the laundry, she'll put them in a mesh bag. So we have a whole bunch of them. You can get them on Amazon pretty cheap. But you can put your shoes in there too. Take the insole out, take the laces out, and then run them through through the washing machine. I'd probably do them by themselves, and not with the rest of your laundry. So and then I'd let them air dry. So that's what I would do. I've made a video on like the shoe cleaning kits where you get like the stuff and you put it on the horsehair brush and you like scrub them clean. But yeah, I think it kind of works, but it's exactly like with the Theragun. I'm worried that I'm going to get too neurotic about a certain spot, and I've definitely like worn down the material because I'm brushing it too hard. And if I just kind of left it, it probably would have been pretty fine. But now it looks like it's worn down in an area and stained. So I think just like an old toothbrush and soapy water is probably another good way to do it too. Yeah, Joaquin Lowe says, I hate the Instagram jump. That's how they make you scroll. Yeah, you know what's also been really annoying is, so I've been trying to do more like the Instagram ads and like kind of what is it? Remember we had a pretty good time with that the other day. I think I'm too bright today. I don't know what's going on there. And so I've been trying to collect more of those. But when you click on something to go to like Amazon and then come back, it doesn't bring you to the same spot where the ad is for some reason. I feel like it really should, but it doesn't. Like I actually want to look at the ad some more, but it won't let me. So that's kind of annoying. Martha says, we have tons of zippered mesh bags too, but I always assumed it was a no-no to wash running shoes. I thought so too, but I did it because I was just like, I was towards the end of life on a pair of Pegasus 35s. So I thought I would do it to see how it felt. And I still ran like another 50 miles on them. And I was like, you couldn't tell. They just looked cleaner. So I thought it worked. It's not something that I would do regularly. It's not something that I even do. But I've done it. And it seemed fine. And especially with the Peg 37 with the React foam. The React foam is definitely going to be fine. That'd be like saying, like, can I put some Chuck Taylors in the wash? Oh, yeah. Sure, you can. That's what I would think. Ilya Kim says, Martha, I just read on the Nike website. They do not recommend to wash them in the washing machine. It could void your warranty on your shoes and on your washing machine. But I've done it. Sean Marshall says, taking up afternoon running has been interesting. Trying to get out the door when it feels like siesta time, a lot hotter too. Yeah, you know what? I did realize though, like right around this time is usually when I get sleepy during the day. And doing my glute activations and also having some coffee is a nice pick me up. I just felt like, it definitely got me like hyped and ready for this conversation and the live stream. I was like, oh, this is nice. It's a nice little perk up. I like it. So I would suggest, you're running, so that's definitely something that'll get you your blood flowing. But for everyone else that's doing the morning run and then like dragging their feet right around like what I think is tea time, or siesta time, if you're in a different European country, do some glute activations. It could wake you up, preferably with some caffeine. Yeah. Ines Dunbar says, I use the mesh bags for my running socks so I don't lose them. The price of some running socks. I don't want them going to sock heaven. Yeah, I remember when I was in college and I was on the track team, they assigned you a locker, and we were on the track team, so we had like the worst lockers. But they assigned you a locker and a giant clothespin. And every day you could put your clothespin in the wash, and someone in the athletic department would wash and dry it for you. But it would stay on the giant clothespin. So what we would always do, we would try to like put as much stuff on there as possible. But then if you put too much, it would be so compressed that it wouldn't clean stuff that's in there. And so you have to find the right balance. But everyone's socks had holes in them because they would put them in the clothespin through like kind of like where the ankle part is. But then I was like, but then you always have fresh socks and fresh like running shorts. Like the running shorts you could like thread through like the leg hole, it was fine. But the socks you definitely had to poke. And I was like, it's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? And everyone in the track team had like a hole in their shirt because there was so much material in the shirt that you couldn't do that threading part. So like you have to just poke a hole in your shirt too. So everyone on the track team had holes in their shirts. And you kind of tried to pick the same hole every time so that way you didn't have multiple holes. And then, but you had holes in your socks, but you always at least had some clean socks. I really enjoyed that. And there were definitely people that were like, I have lots of socks, but I'm going to bring some of my other laundry from home that I need washed for tomorrow. And I'll put that on the clothespin. So people did that too. I mean, college kids, right? Let's see. Plant Power Dan says, I wash my socks in the sink because I'm worried about my socks getting sucked into the black hole in the dryer. I've lost like 3 or 4 socks. One I wore it down, like I wore it as I wore an article of clothing, but I wore it down in terms of like the material degraded over time. And so I think one of the socks that I lost, I threw away because it had holes in it. And then the others I think squirrels have taken them. Because what I would do when it was really hot is I would kind of strip down outside and let all like the super gross sweaty stuff dry out outside. And that would be like my top usually. I'd let like my shoes dry out there, like the chest strap for my heart rate monitor. And if it was a really sweaty day, which was most of the days in the summer, I'd take off my socks and let them dry out. And there was a couple of days in a row where I was like, where's the other sock? So I thought maybe like the wind blew them or something, but I would look all over and I couldn't find them. And the one sock would be in the right spot. So I think that squirrels have taken them and used them for like nesting material. The main reason I think that is because on the deck that's out there where I sometimes film my talking parts of videos, my in-laws, all the cushions that are out there, they usually take them in at night. And in the morning, it's like you take all the cushions and put them back out. Because they had their other original like deck furniture that was out there. There was holes in the top of all of it because the squirrels would chew the top and take out all the stuffing and take it back to their nests in the trees. And so like everything had holes in it after a while. So I think that like the squirrels around here have learned that there's good nesting material at this house. So I think some of my socks are gone. That's where I think my socks have gone. So I've just ordered like 3 other pairs of socks recently. Jody Run says, after leaving a cornfield, do you notice that your glutes have become activated? My glutes feel better. I don't know if that's feeling activated. Here's the thing about activation during running, though, in terms of glutes. Like Sandy Nypaver's video, she's like, sometimes when you're running, just focus on your glutes, be mindful of them, and like flex the one side or the other as you're running. And I'm like, then you're going to, if you're running at 180 beats, like steps a minute, that's a lot of like little mini flexes. You know what I mean? Of your butt. And like each side, do I have to think like left cheek, right cheek, left cheek, right cheek, left cheek, right cheek? I don't get that. And the other thing is I can't flex can you flex your left cheek versus your right? Go ahead, try it right now. Like I can't. The only thing that happens is I pucker up. Like I got to hold it in. So that's the sensation. I'm holding it. That's the sensation when people tell me activate glutes. I'm holding it like I gotta poop. That's the only tensing up I know how to do. I don't know. I don't know what people mean. But when I'm done with the cornfield, I feel relieved. I feel relaxed. I feel like a very relaxed runner at that point. Mike House says, video idea, how to become a morning runner. Will probably get a lot of views. Here's the thing. I made that video. It did not get a lot of views. That's funny. But yeah, so in terms of like the activation, yeah. I still kind of don't know what's going on. Simon Emmons says, it's not the squirrel. Somebody's selling Kofuzi worn socks on eBay. I don't think so. Then they would take the pair. And Ilya Kim says, the running socks are expensive too. Yeah. Some of them aren't that expensive. I do like the Running Warehouse ones. You get like a 3-pack. Those are good, and they're like $8 a pair, which is expensive for socks, but they come in. You can get them in a 3-pack. I like when socks come in a 3-pack, because then I can have 6 of them, and then if one gets a hole in it, I just get rid of the one. I still have 5, and then over time, like I'll get a hole in another one, and I'll still have 4 pairs. So I feel like I still get to use them. Sean Marshall says it's not an elite runner and baby squirrel foster. And Plant Paradigm says it's dry max squirrel nest, comfy, and it wicks. So it'd be good. Trent Wicker calls them the sock elves. Maybe. Yeah, Martha says there's a squirrel den that's full of the socks. The other thing it could be the gopher or the groundhog. My father-in-law has been looking. He's found like 2 or 3 so far this summer, but there's one more that he hasn't been able to catch. It's amazing that he can even catch these things. But like I think I've talked to you guys about this before, but he'll just stare at the yard for a while, and then he'll like see something and go after it. And he doesn't have to run. He just walks over to it, and then he can get the groundhog in it. I mean, it's a fatal maneuver. We don't really let the girls watch when he's doing that, although they're very curious as to what Grandpa's doing. But yeah. So maybe it's the gopher that's getting it. I mean, he's just tormenting the entire family. He annoys my mother-in-law because he's been digging through her flowers lately. He annoys my father-in-law because he's been messing up the grass, and he's got my socks. So he's got like 3 out of the 4 adults pissed off. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny if that were the case. Like when we find them, we're like, that's where they've been. Oh, that could be interesting. Mark Trujillo says, I've lived in Oregon for 25 years now. I've never seen it this bad. A few years ago, we got some smoke here in Willamette Valley, and not nearly this thick. Yeah, I was talking to my friend that I ran the tunnel marathon with, and he was telling me about like the last time like air quality got real bad in Seattle because of fires. It was really scary. I was like, that just seems like bizarre. It seems like it's one of those things where it's like everyone should be panicking, but no one's panicking. It's like, oh, just the air from smoke and from fire. It's just thick here. You guys aren't worried that we should maybe move? Because if you could smell the smoke, you don't think we need to get out of here? No, we're fine. We'll just close the windows. Like that's the way like their attitude toward it. And I was like, that's what you guys did? You guys didn't like try to go somewhere else? And they're like, no. I was like, okay, all right. But yeah, I've not experienced, thankfully, like a fire of that kind of magnitude before. And I hope you guys are all okay out there. Martha says, when we had a cat, we had found a hidden place in the house where she'd stored dozens of those little plastic loops that twist off when you first open a bottle of kefir. Really? Whoa, that's funny. That's funny. Let's see, someone had a question asking me to give thoughts on something. Ilya Kim says, do not flex your cheeks while cornfielding. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna inhibit the whole activity if you do that. Frank Lahulier says, how is your pelvis angled? I don't know. Yeah, we did this one drill when I was with the Nike team. One of the drills that we did on because Thursdays we'd all work out together. We do a whole bunch of drills before our workout, and one of them was like to move your hips in a certain way, and they're like you're carrying a cereal bowl, and I was like I'm what? I don't know. I don't understand what people mean when they're like, move your hips, angle your hips forward. Angle my hips forward? What does that mean? My hips are my center of gravity point. The hips don't move. Like the rest of me I can tilt my top forward, tilt my legs forward and back, but the hips are in the middle. How do you... I have a hard time with it. I think it's to the point where a lot of people think that I'm messing around when I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. But I'm completely honest. I'm like really dense about it. I don't know. BVO01 says, Kofuzi, can you give me your thoughts on the best long distance run shoes from, and then it ends. Oh, from the different companies? From all the different companies? The best long distance run shoes? All right. I can't really say from Ultra because I've only tried 2. Ultra, I like the Escalante. From New Balance long distance, I'd say the 1080 V10. From Saucony, I'd say the Triumph 18. From Nike, I would say... Do they still make the Vomero? Or is the Vomero dead too? Otherwise, it'd be the Pegasus. From Adidas, I would go the UB20, not UB19. What else have we missed? Hoka, Clifton 7. Some people might pick the Bondi, but I'm not a huge fan of it. These are all road long distance shoes, by the way. And then, I don't know, Asics. I would go with the Glide Ride, probably, although I have not tried that one personally. The best long distance shoe from them that I have tried, though, is a Novaplast, and that's a pretty good one, too. Let's see. Atreyu only has one shoe, so the Atreyu. I call it the Atreyu. Does anyone know what it's called? I think it's just the Atreyu. So those are the ones that I would look at. Chris Dyke says, you just figure it out, Go. Don't stop at the cornfields and you activate the glutes. Yeah, but I'll be so uncomfortable for all my runs, and I won't be able to heart rate train. The moment that my mind realizes that my body has to go to the bathroom, it's obsessive. Like, I could probably, like, a lot of these runs, make it the whole way. But, like, my mind just is like, oh, you're going to have a problem. And then you're going to be in town where you won't have a place where you could poop in the cornfield. And that's going to be a big problem. And then I have to stop running. So, like it's not anxiety, but, like, my heart rate elevates. And I think from the physical activity of, like, trying to keep everything in, my heart rate elevates. So, like, the moment, like, I realize, oh, I got to go to the bathroom, heart rate spikes. And so, like, I won't be able to do any workouts or runs. So I got to take care of it. That's how I have to deal with it. Mark Chankoga says, I don't think I ever activate my glutes either. I don't think a lot of people do. That's my theory. Martha says, I can alternate clenching each glute separately. Is that another special talent I didn't know yet? I think it might be. Because it'd be like, you know, like when you see like people that work out in gyms a lot, they can like flex each pec and make it like do the, you know, the thing. There was like a 2-month period in college where I was able to do that when I was lifting really heavily for pole vaulting. And then I lost it. But I can't do that either. And I feel like with the butt, it's like the same way. I consider it like some people can do like the eyebrow raise on one side, but not the other. I can't even do either side anymore. But anyway. Yeah. Sean Marshall says, maybe the squirrels are pulling a Shawshank and hoarding your socks in the cornfield. Yeah, but to what end? To what end? Are they trying to make an escape? They're already in the corn, so they're free, right? So, Timothy Pettit says, when is the last video for the Koros Pace 2? I have the Apex, and the last video will be probably when this dies again. And so I charged it up like 2 days ago, I think. And then, yeah, so I charged it like 2 days ago, so it'll be in another like week, I think. I want to do some workouts in it, like, you know, like a structured workout that you can enter in. Like, say if a coach gives you a specific workout, there's a way to add them into the phone, and then it gets into the watch. I just want to see what that's like, and then I'll have the final video on it. Plant Power Dan says, I wrote a long reply to a recent post about glute activation. I think about it like I think of posture. It's a sense of awareness. Over time, you don't have to think about it. The body knows what to do. That's a good way of thinking. That makes sense to me. Like good posture. Yeah. I don't remember who I was responding to, but someone was like, I don't understand this stuff either. I'm like, I'm trying to understand it. I think it was Running Otaku. And I was like, I think of it like I think of shoes. Like you've got the different parts of the shoes, and I talk about kind of like the response curve of like when the shoe is absorbing your impact and when the shoe is then like and compressing, and then when it's decompressing and giving you stuff like energy back, right? And it's expanding again, so compressing and expanding. The different materials are working at different times, and if your cushion is too mushy, then it would do a really good job of absorbing impact, but not a great job of giving it that energy back. And so maybe you need a carbon fiber plate in there. So if you got mushy foam, carbon fiber plate, they need to be working at the right times to be doing their thing. If the carbon fiber plate is just instantly like boing and bounces off, then the squishy foam doesn't have a chance to do its thing. So it needs like a millisecond to absorb and then compress the plate and then come out. That I get. But at no point do you call it activating the plate, although I guess I say load the carbon plate a lot. So that's kind of how I've been trying to think about it, is like do the different muscles do different things at different times, and they need to be doing that in harmony, like different parts of a machine. So that's why I think muscle imbalance. So like if the glute isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing, whether it's doing it at the wrong moment or not enough, then the other parts have to compensate. And that's where things start to get weird. So that's kind of like how I'm starting to understand everything. There's that butt cupping motion. That's how I'm starting to understand everything again. Yeah. Simon Evans says, your father-in-law and the groundhog sounds like a Looney Tunes cartoon. Well, I mean, it's like Caddyshack, right? Where the guy was like, Bill Murray was chasing the groundhog. Mark Rober's squirrel obstacle course video is amazing. Yeah, I've seen some of them. I don't know if it's the same. I don't know the person's name, but I've seen like squirrel obstacle courses. They're pretty cool. Martha says, sometimes socks are stuck to the side of the washer without having made it to the dryer. I mean, I'm familiar with that. And, you know, my wife and I, we've lived in buildings where there's just communal like washer and dryer. So there's like a washing machine room. And so we're very aware, and we do the spin. It depends on which washer you're using. If you're using the front loader, you spin it so that way you could see it. And if there's anything on there, you'll get a chance to see it, or it might fall out. And then in the top loader ones, where you just dump them in there, you always look inside to make sure you haven't lost a sock. And then on the dryers too, the dryers are front loaders, so you always spin them, so that way you can check to see if there's, and then you always have to do the scoop, because some little socks, like for the kids, might get stuck in between like the paddles of the dryer and the front. There's like a little gap space, so you have to like scoop in that area too to make sure. So we're good at sock searching, but sometimes they disappear. My wife has said the same thing though, and she doesn't take her socks off outside. So we're all like losing socks somewhere. Someone said something about bed sheets. I'll see if I can find it. Shar Marshall says, I honestly think the best part of yoga is that you learn to understand the micro movements of the body and how to notice and adjust them. Huh. That's interesting. I like that idea. Jeff Elliott says, you can pull up the front of your pelvis by flexing your abs. Like some of the thing that you hear in like yoga is like belly button to the sky, or curl your back to the floor. And I'm like, what? I just have a hard time. With it. I think maybe I'm just in my core area extremely body unaware. Like my feet, I know what's going on in my feet. I guess because I've just been like listening to them much more as I'm running in shoes. But maybe I just need to listen to my butt more, and my abs and my hips. I think that's got to be it. But yeah, maybe it is a good time. Maybe it is a good time for me to try some more yoga again and try to get into that. Rambling Dude says, hey, I just want to say hi to all of you. Mike, gotta run. Bye. All right, good. Glad to have you here, Rambling Dude. Awesome. Someone said about go-to running shoe recommendations. We're probably going to talk about SL20. Yeah, Guillermo Villegas says, what's your go-to running shoe recommendations for beginners? For beginners, I always still point people to the Pegasus. So Nike Pegasus 37 is one. The SL20, I mean, I'll play the sound effect for the sound of the day because we're mentioning it, because I love that shoe so much. But it's not a shoe that I would really recommend for beginners. SL20 is the word of the day always. But that one, the New Balance Beacon, I really like. And I would say now, the A6 Nova Blast is probably another one that I think I could recommend to a lot of people to start out with. Those are 3 really good ones, I would say. Avdal, 23, back with more probing ethnicity questions all the time. You didn't answer my ethnicity question yesterday. So you want to know if my wife is Korean too? I think a lot of people here already know the answer to that. But I'll say, Abdel, you have to answer my question. You asked me what my ethnicity was last time, along with lots of other things, which made it sound like you're trying to guess my passwords. But what's your ethnicity, Abdel? I was thinking about you, Abdel, the other day, and that I was kind of giving you a hard time a little bit because I felt like you were coming at me hard in a weird way. And I think that there may be that's why I would like to know your ethnicity, because there are certain cultures where certain types of questions are not considered rude, where they would be considered a little bit rude in the United States. Or it's not so much that they're not considered rude, but it's culturally permissible to just not give AF about being rude about it. It's kind of the equivalent of, when I lived in St. Louis, there's a question that people ask all the time that's very normal, but also extremely personal. It's, where'd you go to high school? And St. Louis is one of those, that's where Ferguson happened. St. Louis is one of those places where by knowing where someone went to high school, you pretty much know the type of job their parents had and about how much money they make. And so it was a very personal question and a very private question. But it seemed on its face to be normal to ask. And lots of people still ask it anyway. But, so, Abdul, I'll tell you one if you tell me one. We'll go that way. Yeah. Jeff Elliott says, I'm trying to save my SL20s for hard intervals when my legs aren't already sore. So far, I've only had one real workout in them. I mean, that's not a bad idea either, because I like them for that too. But they can be used every day. They wouldn't be my first choice, though. And Charmo says, Beacons as a beginner, never would have thunk it. I like it. It's lightweight. It's springy. You can run fast in it. You can run long in it. And I think it's pretty versatile. I like it. I like that one. And then Martha says, forget the belly button. Because I was talking about pointing the belly button at the ceiling and stuff like that. Bringing the belly button forward or focusing on the belly button. She said, forget the belly button. If you just imagine you need a cornfield and holding it in, that's about all you need for that slight pelvic adjustment. Honestly, it's that subtle. Okay. All right. Yoga's going to be very weird for me. I'm going to be in a very weird mental space for my next yoga session. I'll try it, though. I'll try it. Plant Pyro Dan says, Nick Simmons just dropped a vid talking about how collegiate runners get a ton of gear. He talks about how his coach told him to run in his beat-up gear to get used to crushing in subpar gear. Interesting. Yeah. Martha says, Kofuzi, you're such a mensch and so tactful with those personal questions. I don't think that Abdel 23 means harm. Yeah. But I remember I saw it a lot in certain cultures, and I guess I'm getting maybe prejudiced about it too. But Asian people, like Koreans, do it all the time. And Korean people, as a part of our cultural heritage, we're pretty racist people. We tend to be that way. So it's something that I'm quite aware of. But I noticed it a lot for the first time. It really came apparent to me, like some of these cultural differences on which kinds of questions are considered normal and which ones are not, when I started doing college visits. And my dad and we went on a ton of college visits. And then I also, because I applied to 10 colleges. I don't think I visited. Maybe I visited. I didn't visit all 10 of those. I visited lots of other schools as well. So I don't remember how many we did. But we did a lot of college visits in high school. And then also, as I was looking at law schools, we did a lot of tours and stuff. And sometimes it was the student, and sometimes it was the parent of the student that would start asking questions about it, about like all these kind of like, trying to ask. They're not asking the question they want to ask, but they're definitely trying to ask certain types of very pointed questions. And I'm just like, do you hear yourself, or do you just not care about it and you just want your answer, kind of thing? Some people are that way. I don't know. I usually try to let it go, but Abdel's been here a couple of days asking. I don't see an answer yet. That's okay. Jody Run says, it's funny when I work with Americans in a work environment. They appear very rude and blunt, but after learning more about culture, it's just that you get to the point quickly. We're rude. Americans are rude and blunt. That's true. That's true. You're not wrong on that. Ilya Kim says, so when I was living in Malaysia, every time I get in a taxi, the second question I would be asked is if I was Muslim. So normal to them, but I used to find such personal things rude. Yeah. There's just some questions that people don't care if they're rude about it. They just go after it because they would rather just know. I don't know. Chen Zhao says, for FWIK, for what I know, there was a largest factory for footwear in China. The condition is so bad. There was a strike organized, which is illegal. Factory named Yuyuan Dongguan, China. Let's see. Chen Zhao then goes on to say they started moving out of China to other third world countries for even cheaper labor recently. It's always moving. Alright. Recycle on Wednesday says, I personally do way better with anatomical models versus the metaphors about bowls of cereal or breathing into the belly or whatever. I think I've realized I don't do well with either one. Because then on the glute activation video that we were talking about, someone was like, yeah, it's about like myofascial release and then something else of it with a different exercise. And I was like, I understand what each of those words means individually, but it sounds like you're talking about butchering a piece of meat and not exercise. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know. And also like, I'm just as lost as if you had said activate the glute. So I think I'm just lost. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think there's just like a huge blind spot when it comes to talking about glutes. There's no way of explaining it to me. I'm just lost. Yeah. Mark Chanko says RC Elite or Adios Pro. I haven't tried either one, so I wouldn't know. I keep thinking that the Adios Pro is going to be this super soft cushion with the 4 like torsion rods in it. But so far, I'm trying to avoid hearing too much of it in case I do get a chance to review them. But I don't think that's what it is. Anyway. Eduardo Malvini says, have you ever been to Europe? I have. It was a long time ago. The last time, I've been to Europe twice. And this was both probably like 20 to 15 years ago at this point. I went to England for New Year's with my friend Greg, who I ran the Tunnel Marathon with, the guy that lives in Seattle now. We went, me and my wife and him and his wife, we went to London. We decided to spend the New Year there. Obviously, this was before we had kids. And it was super awesome. It was a lot of fun. And then years later, I'm trying to do the math now. Which came first? Because I also went with my wife. She wasn't my wife at the time. We were dating. And we went to Paris for like a week. So those are the two places I've been to in Europe. It's been too long. I'd like to go back. Bert Leggett says, I think the political correct question is, as which race do you identify? And Bert says, I identify as a green elf warrior that can cast magic beasts. Yeah. I think, what a lot of people do that like look like me is they'll be like, I'm from New Jersey. Like, well, where you come from? I'll be like, Eatontown. It's by Fort Monmouth. right by Sandy Hook. And they'll be like, no, really. Where'd your parents come from? Well, I live with my parents. They're also from Eatontown, you know. So we'd say it that way, and then people get mad, and they're like trying to figure it out, like, well, where'd you come from? I'm like, New Jersey. So, and they're like, well, like, where were you born? I'm like, well, I was born in Iri, South Korea. Where's that? South Korea. Where? I know, but where? I'm like, you don't know where. I don't even know where. It's like 3 hours bus ride south of Seoul. So it's like, okay, did you get what you wanted? You know. So, you know, it's just, I don't know. I don't get offended by that question. I get it a lot. I think a lot of times when I get the question from Asian people, it's they're trying to like, it's like, oh, look, someone on like the internet or someone on TV that kind of looks like me. I wonder if he's from the same country as I am, so I want to ask. So like there's that. And then there's lots of other people that want to know the question for other weird reasons. So, you know. So, Plain Power Dan says, when this live is over, I'm not going to say bye. I'm just going to hang up. I used to get really mad, like growing up. I think it was about my daughter's age when we learned how to write letters, like formal letters, like handwriting, like dear someone. And then you're like, and then you don't indent the dear, the salutation, but you do a comma. Then the next paragraph, you do indent that first paragraph. And then at the end, you write sincerely or truly yours or something, comma, and then sign your name. And I was like, what do we need that part for? So that way you know the letter's ending. I'm like, if there are no more words, you know the letter's over. Like, why do I need that? Why can't I just like say like, you know, really hope you had a great summer too, because like we had like pen pals and stuff. Like, I'm really looking forward to the summer. Hope you have a great school year. Maybe we can still be pen pals next year. And then it'd be like, can I just fold it up and put it in the envelope at that point? That's a pretty good close. I mean, if you can't tell from the tone of my letter that I'm done with the letter now, like I've not done a good job of making a letter, a formal letter. An email could be different, but like a formal letter, I don't know. So I like just to end it too. Maybe today at the end of the live stream it'll just be like off. Yeah. PK says, you got a pet dog, Kofuzi? Love the video of that random dog following you on the 13-miler. That was a new one. That dog has not followed me before. I've seen that dog before. It's barked at me before, but it had never followed me before. So that was a little bit of a new one. Yeah, and that dog's a Rottweiler. So I was like, those dogs know how to bite. So I was a little bit concerned about that. Fortunately, there was a school bus that it thought was more interesting than me, and so it started chasing a school bus down the street or down the dirt road. It was pretty funny. I watched it for a while. But I do have a dog too. He's super lazy, and he's 12 years old and like very, very old. His breed, he's a mix, but like he's not long for the world, I think. But he's such a stubborn dog that I was gonna say son of a something, but he's such a stubborn dog that I feel like he's just gonna like out of stubbornness and a little bit of spite keep living for another 4 or 5 years. Frankel Hooter says, you ever been asked what church do you go to? Oh yeah, I mean I come from an Korean immigrant community, so like yeah, you definitely get a lot of that too. Yeah. Stevie76, this letter is done. Yeah. Ilya Kim says, as a Korean/German kid who was born in Uzbekistan, live my life in Kazakhstan, spend my student life in Malaysia, hold a Russian passport, tell me about identity crisis. Yeah, you probably get that question all sorts of times, all sorts of ways. You're like, well, where's your passport? Russia. Where'd you go to school? Malaysia. Where'd you grow up? Kazakhstan. They'd be like, what are you? Like, you know, that's really what people want to know. I mean, I'm listening to right now an audiobook, Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime, and it's really, really good. I've cried twice already listening to that thing. It's really good, but it's amazing, like the way that people always want to categorize other people. I mean, it's human nature. We all do it, but yeah. We should all say our identification is Kofuzian. Yeah, I usually just say I'm from New Jersey. And then like I try to say New Jersey like 3 or 4 times. Then I lived in the Midwest for a while. That's why I talk a little funny. That's kind of where I leave it. Yeah. So, all right. I think that's a good place to leave it for today. I didn't mean it for it to get like a little bit tense in there for a little while, but it did. But I still had a really good time talking to you guys today. I'm going to finish activating the glutes or strengthening my muscles so that everything fires in balance. So I could be a more balanced, strong runner. Hopefully you guys will do the same. Lift that bowl of cereal, put the belly button to the ceiling, or pinch it like you got one about to pop out. Whatever metaphor you need to know to keep those glutes activated. Do that so you could be a strong runner as well. Avoid the knee pain that I have. Tomorrow's video, I got a package from someone. In the live stream today. So I'm going to open that for the video tomorrow because I got another package as well. And so I thought we'll do like a little bit of mail time. I usually don't do that. I don't think people really do mail times anymore. So it'd be kind of funny to do a video of an old genre type. But we'll do that. So that'll be fun. And then we'll do another live stream and it'll be much needed happy hour Thursday. Can't wait for that. So in the meantime, be safe out there and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.